welcome to our program Where God Weeps, a program in which we try to draw attention to the suffering church around the world. Today we hear about our Catholic brethren in Vietnam. Vietnam is a one-party communist state. Every religion is treated as a social force which can and must contribute to the progress of the country under the guidance of the Communist Party. To hear more about the Catholic Church, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Jesuit Hoang Van Dat of the Bac Ninh Diocese in North Vietnam. Welcome, Your Excellency, and thank you for being with us.
Good morning.
Is it difficult to be a Catholic bishop under a communist state?
It's not difficult because I think that a bishop is a successor of the apostle. The Christ sent the apostle everywhere in the world. A communist country is also a part of the world. So it's necessary that there is someone of his disciples in this part of the world. Vietnam is a communist country, and I think that it's a bit difficult, yes, but it's necessary that a bishop be there.
So do you have the feeling you are watched by the government?
Oh, I am sure. I am sure that I do everything and everywhere, and the government watch over me.
Would you say that the Catholic Church in Vietnam is a persecuted church?
Years ago, yes, but nowadays, no. Years ago, we had a very difficult times. Almost every priest was put in prison. Even the seminarian was put in prison. My vicar general was put in prison for 9 years when he was just a seminarian. But nowadays, we are freer.
The position of the Catholic Church in 21st century Vietnam looks optimistic, especially if compared with the widespread persecution of centuries past. Though official diplomatic relations with the Holy See have not yet been established, Vatican churchmen come to Vietnam on a regular basis. In November 2005, Vatican envoy Cardinal Crescenzio Sepe led a ceremony at which 57 new priests were ordained and then met Vu Quan, Vietnam's deputy premier.
The event that the Cardinal Crescenzio Sepe to visit Vietnam shows that the relations between the Holy See and Vietnam now is better.
In January 2007, for the very first time, a Vietnamese Prime Minister met the Holy Father. Shortly afterwards, a delegation from the Vatican went to Vietnam.
However, despite improved relations between the Vietnamese government and the Holy See, the rights and freedoms of Vietnamese Catholics continue not to be wholly respected. The Vietnamese authorities continually seek to control the ordination of new priests, as well as to limit the activities of Catholic activists.
I think we can say this situation has improved, but certainly we cannot talk about religious freedom. It's a communist government which does not still allow full religious freedom.
Bishop, this year is a special year for Vietnam. You have announced it a Jubilee year. Why?
It's a commemoration of the 350 anniversary of the foundation of the two first dioceses in Vietnam, and also the 50th anniversary of the establishment or men of the hierarchy, Catholic hierarchy in Vietnam.
That means for a quite long time Catholics have been in Vietnam already.
Yeah, the evangelization in Vietnam officially began in 1615.
And who were the first ones?
The Jesuits.
From the arrival of the first recorded Portuguese missionary in Vietnam in 1533 to Prime Minister Nguyen Thanh Dung's visit to the Holy See in 2007 spans 5 centuries, a time marked by the persecution of Catholics and a church battling for the right to evangelize freely. In the 16th and 17th centuries, Dominican and Jesuit missionaries struggled with hostile Vietnamese rulers, a struggle that reached its zenith in the 19th century when tens of thousands of Catholics were murdered.
You have also become a Jesuit yourself.
Yeah.
Were you educated by the Jesuits, or what made you become a Jesuit?
I joined the Jesuit in 1967 when I was 19 years old. At that time, we were in full war of Vietnam. I thought that weapons were not a good solution for the country as well as for the world. So, and also the 2 figures fascinated me very much. It was Saint Francis Xavier and Father Alexander de Rhodes, one of the first missionaries in Vietnam. Both were Jesuits. So I would like to join the Jesuits to become missionary. And at that time, I imagined my later life would be a missionary in Africa. But up to now, I have never been to Africa.
And what did your parents say when you said, I want to become a priest?
Oh, my father died when I was only 6 years old. I lived with my mother, and my mother is very religious. He don't think that I could become a priest. So he advised me not to go to join a Jesuit because she didn't believe in me. It's right. She think of me always a boy who love funds. But when I decided to join the Jesuit, she told me that she cannot refuse anything to God.
So do you still have much fun now?
Yes, always.
And was it possible for you as a boy to always go to church?
When I was a boy, I went to church every Sundays, not weekdays. And that is one of the reasons why my mother thought that I could not become a priest, because I am not very religious. I was not a fervent boy.
Vietnam is a country blessed with vocations to the priesthood. In every diocese there are scores of young men, sometimes as many as 100 or 200, waiting to enter the seminary. But the selection process for entering the seminary is very difficult. It's not enough that a young man speaks with his priest, speaks with his bishop, and asks to join the seminary. His application has to be vetted by the government. That means they look into his own background, into his family background, to make sure that there's nothing political there, which the government would consider an obstacle to entering the seminary.
As a result, the Church struggles to serve the growing number of faithful. In the Archdiocese of Hanoi alone, 400,000 faithful are divided between 130 parishes, of which only 30 parishes have a resident priest, which means that each priest needs to care for about 10,000 souls. For the average rural parish, the scarcity of priests means that daily and Sunday Mass is often replaced by a liturgy of the Word. simply a gospel reading, teaching, and a prayer of the Rosary. The dramatic nature of this pastoral situation is not for a lack of hopeful candidates. The number of vocations among the young is flourishing, and the desire to serve is great.
There are many vocations in Vietnam, but there are many obstacles, human obstacles. The restriction on the number of people who may join the seminary every 2 years. And even when they get to the seminary, there is a lack or shortage of professors for teaching these young men. Some priests who teach at the seminaries have to divide their time between several seminaries. It's difficult to send priests abroad for further studies, higher studies, which they need in order to be teachers at the seminaries. And it's also very difficult to find the appropriate theological books that they need for the teaching. There's a restriction on the importation of such books.
For each student in the seminary, there are between 5 and 10 candidates who wait to enter. The Church is working not to lose these vocations by supporting the study of these young men in the state universities, in anticipation that one day they may be allowed by the government to enter the seminary. Once having received permission, another obstacle facing a seminary rector is the financial cost involved in supporting a seminarian throughout his studies. Although seminarians share facilities and struggle with poor living conditions, it still costs $1 per day to support the studies of one seminarian, finances that the local church simply does not have.
Vietnam is growing economically very fast. Does it mean that maybe the youth turns away from the Catholic faith or from any religion because they see material things coming up?
Yes, I think the materialism is a temptation for everybody, including myself.
So what is your temptation, for example?
I would like to have an easy life. While I find that Jesuit life is difficult, and Episcopal life is even more difficult. But I accept it as a mission, a divine mission. I think that there are many progress in the economic life in Vietnam. And it has many influences in the people, including the Catholics.
But does it mean, for example, for yourself also, you want these tools like the computer, the laptop, the camera, telephones and things like that? You would like to have all that?
In the country, for instance, where I can blend flowers, I love a simple life. I don't need many comfortable, modern things.
But as a bishop, you have to.
But as a bishop, I have to have a computer, a car. When I was a priest, I went away almost with a bicycle. Some days before my nomination as a bishop, I went to celebrate the Holy Mass in Hanoi with a bicycle for 15 kilometers, and then I came back with my bicycle. I was very happy with my bicycle. But now I can't use it anymore.
Now to come back on the youth, how do you attract young people to stay in the Catholic Church when there are so many material things they can turn to?
I don't know, but I think that in my diocese there is a very good tradition. And Vietnamese people are very cling to the tradition of the ancestors. For instance, we have grandparents and parents very pious. We cannot become an atheist. So for instance, in the Psalm Sunday, I call the youth to reunite in the bishop house And I think that there would be 1 or 2,000 people, but actually there were more than 5,000.
But
Incredible.
how do they fit in your house?
Oh, we gave them some bread and some a little milk. That's all. We are poor, and they accepted everything normally.
So when you see all these young faces, that is your hope for the country then?
Yes, I think. I hope for the country and also for the church, and especially for my diocese.
One of the greatest challenges is to respond to the growing request for catechetical education, particularly among the young.
For
this reason, there are many lay people and sisters who have to replace priests, above all in parishes, in areas far away from cities. For this reason, we need to educate catechists so that they can take over certain functions of priests who are not sufficiently numerous in the countryside.
The desire to learn and the need to provide the proper catechetical education is evident. Following the first Sunday Mass at 4 in the morning, hundreds of children gather to receive religious instruction before leaving for state schooling. The numbers are so overwhelming that the Church has developed a system of training catechetical teams in each diocese. Today there are more than 2,000 trained catechists. In some regions, due to the inability to be educated openly, these volunteer catechists are only able to receive instruction clandestinely. Perhaps the greatest hindrance faced by the religious and catechists alike for the development of religious education is the strict government policy towards printing of religious literature. Children often have no means of receiving even the most basic education about the faith. Based on this urgent need, the local church has asked charities like Aid to the Church in Need to help finance the printing of a number of catechetical books in Vietnamese.
Now you are from the diocese Bac Ninh, that's in the north of Vietnam. What kind of diocese is it?
In my diocese, there are more than 8 million people, but only 125,000 Catholics. Almost all the people are farmers. We are poorer than people in Hanoi, and we cannot compare with the people in Europe. There are many difficulties. For instance, we have lost all the properties outside the churches. More than 50% of our churches were destroyed by the war.
So what kind of faith is there still in your diocese if there is only such a small part Catholics?
In my diocese, the people have a very good faith, but they have no formation about the spiritual life or intellectual life. Almost nothing. It's very difficult. But I think that their faith is very good. Usually they go to the church every day. Sometimes twice or 3 times a day in many villages. And I think that with such faith, we have the future.
Until 1991, the communist government allowed neither the maintenance of existing churches nor the construction of new ones. Today, the construction of churches is allowed, however only with special permits, which can take years to be processed. The visible presence of a church is vital to the Catholic community, as it is only in the house of God that faithful can officially obtain teaching, receive the sacraments, and pray as a community. It is also through this physical presence that Vietnamese Catholics can affirm their faith and their presence in a world in which they are a minority. Today, as in many developing nations, there is an increasing rural exodus of young people from the traditional activities of rice farming to the greater economic opportunities offered in such areas as Ho Chi Minh City. The social ills that result, however, are often burdened by the youngest and weakest. In this case, unprepared mothers who abandon their children to the street. Often it is the religious communities who undertake to care and educate these rejected children.
Bishop, you have worked a long time for the lepers. Have people told you maybe you shouldn't touch these people or they are outcast people?
Oh, at first I was really afraid of them. But afterwards, I know the reason, I know the problem, and I think that my heart overcome my my bread. So I love them, I take care of them, and I can. At first, it was very difficult to eat with them, but after some months, I could eat with them very easily, no problem at all.
And do the lepers have to live outside the city?
They are free, but actually they gather to live together, so that they have some friends. Because if they live in their family, nobody would like to visit them. And when they would like to visit someone, perhaps people refuse them. So I have many friends and many lepers as friends.
And how did it come you started to work for the lepers?
Oh, it's a mission. At that time, I was Master of Novices in the Society of Jesus, but the Archbishop of Saigon at that time, Paulo Nguyễn Văn Bình, asked me if I can work for the lepers. I did yes. And I didn't. Up to then, I had never seen lepers.
Were you shocked when you first saw them?
Yes. At first, I was afraid, and I had to pray very much. Mary, help me, Jesus, be with me, and I pray for them.
Religious are not only working with the forgotten in the cities, but also in the rural areas. In the mountainous region of central Vietnam, villages dot the landscape inhabited by ethnic minorities, locally called the mountain people. Minorities often resettled, living on the margins of society. Care for them has come primarily from the local church, and many of the mountain people have converted from tribal animist religions to the Christian faith. The local government, fearful of this trend, has forbidden that a priest live among them, and often no building permissions are granted for the construction of neither churches nor chapels.
Is there anything we can do for the Catholic Church in Vietnam?
I don't know exactly, but I think that we need, first of all, your prayer. And for the material help, we need money for the formation of the priests and the nuns and the laity. the catechism, for instance. And also we need churches for the farmers, Catholic farmers in Vietnam. A church is a very important thing in their life because they can go there to pray twice or 3 times a day. So we need a small and simple church for these people, and it's a sign of their faith and also something very necessary for consolidation of the faith and the education of the faith for the children.
Thank you very much, Bishop Dat, for your time and for your interview and for your insight in the Catholic Church in Vietnam.
Thank you for your help and your invitation.
And thank you for watching our program Where God Weeps. And if you want to know more on the Catholic Church in Vietnam, then please log on to our website, which is posted at the end of our program. And we hope to see you again next week. Take care.